This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. You know, I've made reference on numerous occasions to the ridiculous claim that Donald Trump has made many times that despite being a 5-time draft-dodging coward, he's the most militaristic person ever.
You know, I am the most militaristic.
I'm the most militaristic person ever.
I am the most military-based and the most militaristic person.
And yet I'm the most militaristic, the most militaristic person there is.
Yeah, Boo-Boo Bone Spurs over here clings to the desperate hope that low-information MAG Americans will continue to only listen to what he says, and so far, lucky for him, they pay no attention to the man behind the curtain and what he actually does. Because anybody who actually cares about the morale and welfare of our military, and not just about some meaningless display of masturbatory patriotism, they would be paying attention to actions and not just words. Well, listen, it only took over 700 days into Donald Trump's most militaristic presidency for him to visit troops serving in a combat zone. And what did he do to the troops he loves, reveres, and supports so damn much? Well, he endangered many of them and their families in a flagrant violation of operational security. And later, in a speech, he lied to them about something that they are sure to know is false. But first, let's talk about the OPSEC Nightmare performed by none other than the President of the United States himself, during which Donald Trump revealed the location and some of the identities of members of Navy SEAL Team 5. Donald Trump is so transparently ready and willing to turn warfighters into political points that he seems he rushed to the first Navy SEAL he could find and posted a video and photos of them all over the internet. And when the Pentagon was asked about this by journalist James Laporta, an official said this, quote, "The deployments of Special Operations Forces, including Navy SEALs, are almost always classified events, as to protect those men and women that are on the front lines of every overt and covert conflict the United States is involved in. Even during special operation demonstrations for congressional delegations or for the president or vice president, personnel either have their faces covered or their faces digitally blurred prior to a release to the general public. I don't recall another time where special operations forces had to pose with their faces visible while serving in a war zone," unquote. You see, it is critically important to protect the identities of our special operators because they, and even sometimes their families back home, are at a greater risk of being captured by terror outfits or hostile foreign governments and attempted to be used as hostage or propaganda leverage. But when did actually supporting the men and women of the United States military actually matter to Donald Trump? After all, remember, he's bad-mouthed John McCain for having been a POW. He's just recently disrespected Navy SEAL Admiral McRaven and saw fit to disrupt a vital transition by ordering Marine General Mattis out of his post as Secretary of Defense months earlier than what was agreed. And then there was the bald-faced lie that spilled forth from Trump's plump burger hole and onto the entire crowd of Marines, sailors, soldiers, and airmen who were present. And this lie had to do with, of all things, their pay, which they most certainly know something about.
I want each and every one of you to know that we will always protect those who protect us. You protect us. We are always going to protect you. And you just saw that because you just got one of the biggest pay raises you've ever received, unless you don't want it. Does anybody here? Is anybody here willing to give up the big pay raise you just got? Raise your hand, please. Oh, I don't see too many hands. Okay. Don't give it up. It's great. You know what? Nobody deserves it more. You haven't gotten one in more than 10 years. More than 10 years. And we got you a big one. I got you a big one. I got you a big one. They had plenty of people that came up. They said, you know, we could make it smaller. We could make it 3%. We could make it 2%. We could make it 4%. I said, no, make it 10%. Make it more than 10%. Because it's been a long time. It's been more than 10 years. Been more than 10 years. That's a long time. And, you know, you really put yourselves out there. You put your lives out there.
He's correct about that. The men and women in that room do put themselves out there, put their lives out there. Unfortunately, everything else there is a freakishly verifiable lie. So Donald Trump is claiming that the military hasn't gotten a pay raise in more than 10 years. A decade. He is also claiming that in the face of some people suggesting that they make the raise that was given to them 2, 3, or 4%, he said no. Make it 10%. Make it more than 10%. Donald Trump is a disgraceful and inexplicable liar. A filthy, disgusting liar. Not only has the United States military gotten a pay raise each and every year for the past 10 years, they've gotten a raise each and every year for the past 35 years. And further, the raise that Trump proposed for the troops this year was only 2.1%, and it was actually bumped by Congress to 2.4%. 8 or so percent short of that 10% lie that he told. And when you drill down into the details, it only gets worse for the dingus in chief, because his first 2 years in office, the military pay raises were 2.1 and 2.4%. While Obama's first 2 years in office, the military enjoyed 3.9 and 3.4% increases in pay. And further, when you append whatever pay raise percentage to the rate of inflation, Obama gave an overall pay raise of 4%, while Donald Trump's 2.4 and 2.1% actually totals a pay cut of 0.1%. So thanks, but no thanks. So let this United States Marine Corps veteran be on the record as telling Donald Trump and all of his fellow faketriots to shut it. The troops and the nation in general don't want or need your gross-ass lies in the form of lip service. If you love the troops, actually support them. Don't endanger them by putting an unnecessary target on their backs. And pay them. Because as good as it feels for you to say you're giving them unprecedented raises, imagine how good it feels for them to actually be given an actual raise.